Sometimes after like a big Acumatica upgrade, things in Device Hub can just go a bit haywire. Printing acts up, data syncing gets all wonky. It's a real headache. Today, we are diving deep into why that happens and what you can do about it. To guide us through these kind of technical waters, we have Nasir, an associate functional consultant at Tiana Solutions, who has tackled more than their fair share of Acumatica challenges.
It's true. I've seen it all over 3.5 years in this field, working on everything from reports and inquiries to those tricky business events. It gives you a sense of what can trip people up.
And for our listeners who might not be familiar, Tiana Solutions is actually the largest services partner for Acumatica, so they've got a massive team ready to jump in and help. But before we get to solutions, let's paint a clearer picture of the problem. What exactly breaks in Device Hub after an upgrade, and why is it such a pain point for users?
The core issue is that upgrades, while bringing new features, sometimes change the underlying framework of how Acumatica talks to printers and handles data flow. So, settings that worked perfectly fine before can suddenly stop functioning correctly. Imagine you've got a client who relies heavily on Device Hub for printing labels or syncing critical data with Excel. An upgrade hits, and suddenly their operations are disrupted. That's a major problem.
Okay, so it's not just a minor inconvenience. It can really impact a business's day-to-day operations. Can you give us a specific example of how this plays out in the real world?
Absolutely. I had a client facing this exact situation. They were excited about the new Acumatica features the upgrade offered, but then bam, their label printing went kaput and data syncing became unreliable. They had 3 non-negotiables: seamless Excel integration, smooth label printing, and everything had to be tailored to their specific workflow. The upgrade had essentially pulled the rug out from under them.
So their whole system was basically thrown out of whack. What did you do to tackle this?
The first step was understanding the root cause, often. Acumatica upgrades require a specific version of Device Hub to ensure compatibility. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The old Device Hub just won't work correctly with the upgraded system. So we started by heading to build.acumatica.com and downloading the Device Hub version that aligned perfectly with their upgraded Acumatica instance.
Makes sense. It's all about getting the right tools for the job.
Exactly. Once we had the correct Device Hub installed, we focused on reconfiguring the printer settings. This involves adding the printer, specifying its configuration, and ensuring the paper size and format are correct. Think of it as introducing the printer to the new Acumatica environment.
So it's not enough to just install the new Device Hub. You have to walk it through the setup process again.
Precisely. And here's where things get a little more intricate. Within Device Hub, you need to establish a connection with your Acumatica instance. This involves entering the URL of your instance, your login credentials, and your tenant information if you're working with multiple tenants. Then we jump into Acumatica itself and navigate to the Sales Order Preferences screen.
Why the Sales Order Preferences screen specifically? What's the connection to Device Hub there?
This is where the magic happens, especially if you're dealing with printing issues. The Sales Order Preferences screen is where you define how different order types are printed. For instance, if your client wants to print labels for sales orders, you'll need to go into the Sales Order Preferences, select the Mail and Printing tab, and choose the updated printer from the list.
So you're essentially reestablishing those connections between Acumatica, Device Hub, and the printer all over again.
You got it. And there's one crucial checkbox that often gets overlooked. Print with Device Hub. You'll find it under the Quick Processing section of the Sales Order Preferences. Make sure this is checked for any order type where you want to use Device Hub for printing. Without it, Acumatica won't know to route those print jobs through Device Hub.
So, after meticulously going through all these steps, did our client's Device Hub nightmares finally end?
They did. By reinstalling Device Hub, carefully reconfiguring printer settings, and double-checking those sales order preferences, we restored their printing functionality and data syncing capabilities. They were back in business, with their upgraded Acumatica system humming along smoothly.
That's a huge relief for them, I bet. And for any Acumatica consultants listening, this is a great reminder that upgrades, while exciting, can have these hidden consequences.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just upgrade the software. You have to anticipate those ripple effects on existing setups and be prepared to make those necessary adjustments.
So, if our listeners are thinking, okay, how do I avoid becoming your next client with a Device Hub meltdown? What advice would you give them?
The key is proactive planning before any upgrade. Carefully review your customizations and integrations, particularly those relying on Device Hub. Make sure you understand the potential impact of the upgrade on these areas, and don't be afraid to reach out for help.
That's where a team like Tiana Solutions comes in, right?
Precisely. They have the experience and expertise to guide you through these complexities, ensuring a smooth transition during upgrades, whether it's device hub troubleshooting, customization support, or just general Acumatica expertise. They've got you covered.
And how can our listeners connect with Tiana Solutions if they need that extra support?
It's simple. Give them a call at 678-910-2774. Their team is ready to answer your questions and provide the assistance you need to keep your Acumatica system running at peak performance.
So, for all the Acumatica consultants out there, remember this. Upgrades are inevitable, but disruptions don't have to be. With a bit of planning and the right support, you can navigate those changes smoothly and keep your clients happy.